Hi everyone, it's Letitia. I'm DIYing my way through my first home, and I'm thrilled to be partnered with Cricut today to show you some unique DIY ways to do wall art in your home. We often think of buying prints, but I really think that adding a personal touch really makes your home your home. This was my first attempt at using a Cricut machine ever, and I was prepared with a full work suit. I've always known about Cricut, I just never understood the magnitude of what you can do with one. And then when I was doing research, I fell down a deep, dark hole. For this video, I am using 3 out of over 300 materials that you can cut on a Cricut Maker. As a more 3D DIY, I have stiff artboard that I put to the test on the Cricut. I placed it on a strong grip mat. My original plan was to stack the 3 homes that Stefan and I have lived in together. It started with our apartment, which was most definitely illegal, where our entrance was the sliding glass doors of the backyard. Unfortunately, it didn't quite translate as well as I had hoped.
Would you say this is confusing?
What is it?
I think that's the problem.
It needs to be more defined. Sorry, honey.
No, I needed to hear it.
So I took a few steps back and just kept it minimal with the outline of our current home. Glue gun never works on fabric, but conveniently this time around it gripped permanently. I was just lucky that I had recently hemmed my curtains, so I used some scrap to rewrap the base and then glued the final pieces of the house on. I also customized this groovy home image found on Design Space. As you've seen on my updated channel banner, this is my favorite font right now. By clipping the word home and copy pasting it several times, I made an elongated shadow for some dimension on the text that I think will pop. The Cricut transfer tape is super helpful because it has a grid printed over top, so you can easily match up your layers exactly where you want it. There are so many helpful tutorials that Cricut offers to make sure that you can have a smooth project from beginning to end, and I have a link in my description of all the new materials that I've used on all these projects. This would make a sweet entryway piece. I try to keep text minimal at home, but with the right font, you can express so much of what you want your home to say about you. It's also a nice perspective since I'm inside the house all the time to be reminded that this is our whole house. Maybe I'll just make it a 3-piece series so that I can showcase all the homes that we lived in. I switched to a rotary blade for this next project because I'm going to be cutting fabric, something I'm very excited to continue working with in the future with Cricut. Expressionist organic shapes are really popular right now, and I prepped my canvas with a light off-white wash, keeping the acrylic kind of sludgy and unmixed. On Design Space, I found a lovely fern cutout. I've saved so many images for future projects that it kind of got quite difficult to make a decision, and I'm a really decisive person, so this says a lot. On their special fabric grip mat, I placed a scrap piece of cotton cut to size. Denim would work lovely for this, so save your cut hems. I was hoping to have cobalt blue, but in the spirit of recycling odds and ends, this may do. Send to cut and wait for the magic. Because this is a cutting that has so many legs and the cotton is so floppy, I use transfer tape to pick it up. I learned this in my Cricut deep dive, is to flip over your mat and peel your mat off the cutting instead of the other way around. This prevents your edges from curling. I applied fabric glue all over before placing onto the canvas. No fuss and perfect application. Something that I couldn't have achieved with scissors or an X-Acto knife is getting these crazy precise and sharp edges on fabric. This treatment invites you to look closer, and you can appreciate the texture that fabric can offer. It's a fun way to experiment with a different medium for art, and with the Cricut I can imagine making really cute appliques with this technique as well. I have a plain old mirror. I got this secondhand for $10. As a Cricketer, a term that I now proudly label myself, the most important part of starting your project is knowing what materials you'll be using and their measurements. Cricut's Design Space has swaths and swaths of images and typography. I started my process by looking up hands. But because my mirror is oval and I need to make very exact angles with the arms, I had to move it over to my computer to finish off customizations. I made long noodly arms that's mocked up in an oval that's to scale. Back over on Design Space, I sliced and arranged the arms over 2 squares to map out how I can cut strategically over 2 Cricut mats that are 12 by 12. I had to scale down the arms slightly and cut a test. It's always good to test, and from that I realized that since I did scale it down, I needed to make the arms a little longer so that they kept extending past the mirror. From there, I was ready to cut my permanent vinyl. Cricut offers endless possibilities to cut, score, draw, engrave, and make wavy lines all in one. You just select the material you're cutting, the required effect with the tool you need, and press go. It was magical to watch my design go from computer into something tangible within a short amount of time. There's just something very methodical about weeding your vinyl and peeling it onto your chosen surface. There's no better way to apply than to do it slowly, using the scraper to smooth out bubbles. For any parts that were disconnected, I matched them up almost seamlessly, and you don't even notice it when you take a step back. I let the arms trail off, flipped over the mirror, and used the frame as a guide to trim off excess. There's really a big moment right now for statement mirrors and home decor, except that it's quite pricey for just a single decor item. I wanted to show that there are ways to bring traditional shapes and objects to now, and oval mirrors aren't even really my style, and this is now going somewhere prominent in my home. It adds an element of fun and kitsch, which I love. Cricut really lit up that crafting bug in me. I feel like I leveled up on my crafting game, and I can't wait to incorporate more into my future projects. Even Stefan is super excited about it because he's talking about mold making and working with fiberglass, so this is definitely going to be a shared item in our home. If you recreate any of these items, please tag me on Instagram at Letitia because I would love to repost your recreations. Make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on so that you don't miss the next DIY, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!